What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Time. I'm your host. Wait a second. Wait, did I forget something? There it is. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Time. I am your host, Jacob Cutler, the Fantasy Guy, and today I have episode number 16 for you. I guess I could do... I don't know. I can't use my hands anymore. So, I get episode number 16 for you where we are recapping last week, and we had a terrific last week. It was exciting. I'm not going to lie. Last week had some bangers of the games. Obviously had some sleepers, but for the most part, it definitely had some bangers of some games. We saw the battle of the unbeatens. One unbeaten team is left. In today's episode, we are going to go over not last week's fantasy leaders. They will still be updated in the Google Sheets, but I think it's time we bring back the rookie report because we saw all 5 rookies and they put on a decent performance, and I'm going to highlight them. We'll show you those highlights. I'll talk about them, talk about their performances, and we'll go from there. And then, of course, we're bringing back start them, sit them, and get rid of them because, not to toot my own horn, but last week I did pretty good. Aside from some guys getting injured, right? I can't do anything about that, Julio, Gronk. But other than that, it was a pretty banger last week for start 'em, sit 'em, and get rid of them. So, without further ado, if you like what you are seeing, please smash that like button and then just tap on that subscribe button. And then that little bell notification, tap on that as well. That way, anytime a new episode drops, and they drop every Tuesday and Friday, you are right there to consume the content. You are right there to just pick up the knowledge that I'm dropping for you, shove it in that head of yours, rattle it around, and just become a better fantasy player, become a better football player, because that is what I aim to do, make you a more knowledgeable football human being. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Alrighty, let's get into this. So, yes, we're going to be talking about the rookies today. We saw all 5 of them. All of them were in action, and we got a bigger sample size, a bigger serving of the rookies this week, and we saw a lot of good performances. They did go 2-3. They are not off to a good start. Rookies are not off to a good start. I think they've only won 3 games. Rookie quarterbacks have only won 3 games now. But the rookies this week did a good job, right? Zach Wilson shocking the world and upsetting and winning against Tennessee. Nobody saw that coming. I did not see that coming, I'll admit. But Zach Wilson putting on a hell of a performance. And then he had Justin Fields. It wasn't pretty, right? It wasn't pretty, but he got the job done. And that's what matters. He got the W. And then we saw Trevor Lawrence in one of the best Thursday night football games ever. We'll talk about that. And then we saw Mac Jones, 19 straight completions. Okay, Mac. Okay, 19 straight completions against Tampa Bay. And then Trey did what he could and the limited reps that he had. But I'll say this, the best thing that Trey has going for him is his vision. The man has QB vision like a 2 to 3 year vet. He can see the field. He knows when to tuck it and run. He knows when to throw the ball. So Trey Lance, I'm liking what I'm seeing. But you know what? Let's stop talking about it. Let's see some highlights in the rookie report. The rookie report, now on Fantasy Time. Alrighty, let's talk about this. So, we were talking about them, but let's check out some highlights. First up, we got Trevor Lawrence, who put on an absolute, just beautiful performance on Thursday. It was a loss to my Bengals and one of the most viewed games ever on Thursday night. Yes, one of the most viewed games ever on Thursday night was the Bengals and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Outstanding game. He looked at every bit as advertised, right? He looked like the first round pick that he was. He was throwing the ball over the field. He was running the ball. It's not even like his arm. Like everyone knows about his arm and his accuracy, right? It's his legs. He's able to extend plays, get first downs. The read option where he juked Sam Hubbard out of his shoes. It was crazy. Trevor Lawrence, I'll say this, stock is on the rise, right? You may hear his name later on in the show. You may. But Trevor Lawrence, in that performance on Thursday night, definitely showed that he was every bit worth the pick. Jacksonville, if he continues to get better, Jacksonville may be scary. Jacksonville may be scary. Next up, we saw Trey Lance, right? Trey Lance, we'll see. We'll see what happens. If Jimmy ends up being hurt and out Sunday, it'll be nice to see Trey get the first team reps, right? He'll actually get reps with the first team so we can actually see how he's matured and grown. But that little sample size, I'll say this, and I'm just going to echo what I said in the little intro here. His vision is the best thing about him. The way that he can see the field at such a young age, he looks like he's literally has his quarterback vision of a 2 to 3 year vet. You know, he's going to make mistakes, he's going to throw interceptions, he's going to make bad plays, but majority, and if you just watch him, the way he surveys the field, the way he's playing the game, it's pretty crazy to see the fact that he's played 1 year in college, didn't play last year. So I mean, he's raw, like as raw can be in terms of quarterback, in terms of skill and talent, and his ceiling for growth. So Trey Lance is on the up and up. Trey Lance is on the up and up, and if Jimmy's out, I'm excited to see what he does with the first team this week. Next up, we have Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson shocked the world. Zach Wilson shocked the world. I don't think anybody thought that the Jets were going to beat the Titans. The Titans are playing terribly. Now, okay, all right, fair enough, fair. I smacked my stuff. Fair was Julio and AJ were out. Okay, they did not have their receivers, but come on. It's the Titans versus the Jets. The Jets have only scored 13 points, or maybe 6 points, maybe. I think it was 13 or 6 points in the last 2 weeks. They were getting demolished. What are you doing, Tennessee? What are you doing, Mike Vrabels? What are you doing, Ryan Tannehill? Come on. Get your together. Holy moly. Losing to the Jets? I mean, Zach Wilson looked amazing. And his arm, every bit as advertised. Like an undercover. I was playing with him in Madden. Okay, yeah. I was playing with him in Madden, and I was shocked at how good his arm is. And then he comes to Sunday, and we see it in real life with that bomb to Corey Davis. Absolutely incredible. So Zach Wilson, as bad as Tennessee is, Zach Wilson stepped up to the plate on Sunday, and he beat the Tennessee Titans. He beat them. Next up, we got Mac Jones. Mac Jones was on fire, right? 19 straight completions. They lost by a field goal. I had a feeling that team was going to come out and play tough for Bill. And Mac came out and balled out for Bill. He balled out for Bill. He wanted that victory badly. He knew what it meant. He knew what it meant to Bill. 19 straight completions. The kid was on fire, right? He's getting the tight ends involved. That's going to be his guys. Because the receiving core in New England, there is no receiving core in New England. I told you guys, Jacoby Myers does nothing. I mean, he had a decent game, but he does nothing, essentially. So, the tight ends may be the big factor in New England for Mac Jones this rookie season. He may progress with the tight ends, but we shall see. But Mac Jones, nonetheless, 19 straight completions, looked phenomenal on Sunday. Looked phenomenal on Sunday night. And last but not least, we have the man who just needs a coach. I've come to the conclusion that the man just needs a coach. You got Justin Fields. Justin on Sunday, he looked decent, right? He was getting the ball, but I mean, their touchdowns were rushing touchdowns, right? He had one passing touchdown, but other than that, I mean, it was a mediocre performance, right? He's going to come play the Raiders if Andy's still out, and that's going to be a tough performance. That defense, they looked shaky tonight against the Chargers, but they settled way down in the second half. Looked like a completely different team in the second half. So, Justin Fields, you got to see some maturity and some growth, but at the same time, he needs a coach. Matt Nagy, not the guy. Not the guy. I can say that so confidently. I am willing to bet a lot of money, but Matt Nagy is not the guy. Justin Fields needs a coach, but he played decent. He played decent on Sunday. And that's all I have for you on the rookies. Alrighty, let's get into this. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of things, as they say. Last week, right, some highlights from last week. We got Taylor Heincke going off I told you to start him. If you don't got him, he's not rostered in a lot of leagues. Little news flash, not rostered in a lot of leagues. We got Joey B going off against Jacksonville. David Montgomery, another one of my stardoms, going off against Detroit. Ezekiel Elliott going off against Carolina in that great game. We had, DJ Moore. I told you that was going to be a high fantasy game. DJ Moore going off. And then Mike Gesicki for the tight ends, just going off. Right? Going off. I'm telling you to start them. Make sure they are in your league so they can get you points. You are missing out on points. I mean, if you guys are starting some random people who are not getting your points, shame on you. Right? Sit-ems. I told you Kirk was going to have the game. Now, he did not have the game where he threw 4 picks and fumbled the ball a bunch of times, but the Cleveland defense shut him down. Cleveland defense shut him down, right? Damian Harris against Tampa Bay. Sony Michel, right? Taysom Williams was out. Chase Claypool, out. Jalen Reagor, nothing. Right? Cole Kmet, nothing. Gerald Everett went on COVID protocol. That's something for the injury report. He should be off later this week, but he was added last week, so that's just a little update there. Jack Doyle, nothing, right? And then for the get rid of him, Jimmy G, nothing. Get him off your team. He is not a fantasy quarterback. He may not even be the starting quarterback for long if he gets injured again or if Trey keeps getting better. And then Carson Wentz. Get rid of these guys. You don't want them on your team. They aren't helping you. They're only hurting you. So get rid of them. But we're done with last week. Last week's over. Last week's done with. We're on to a new week. Fresh start, right? What have you done for me lately is the motto. So let's get into it in another installment of Start 'em, Sit 'em, and Get Rid of them. Alrighty, let's get into the stardoms, okay? So, basically how this works is I gave you 4 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 4 wide receivers, and 4 tight ends. And then in the get rid of them, it's kind of like if I feel that someone deserves to go in that category, I'll fill them up. But in this instance, I have 4 quarterbacks for you, 4 running backs for you, and 1 tight end for you this week in the get rid of. So, let's get into this. Like I say, get into this with the stardoms, right? Let's start with the stardoms. Your number 4 quarterback I have for you is Jalen Hurts. Now, the Eagles aren't playing good, but Jalen Hurts is playing good. Jalen Hurts has been playing really well in fantasy, and if you have him, I'm hoping you're starting him because he, I think, is averaging over 20 points per game in the first 4 starts. Right? So Jalen Hurts right now is playing very well in terms of fantasy. He is getting a lot of fantasy points, and I think that continues, against, I guess, an exposed Carolina defense, right? They started strong, and then Dak just took them and ran with it, and just it ended up dominating them. It was close at the end, but they ended up dominating him. But I think Jalen Hurts, again, it's kind of the same thing where he'll start off probably good or slow, and then during garbage time or during late in the game, that's when he'll kind of pick it up. So Jalen Hurts, your number 4 quarterback. Your number 3 quarterback, he was, I'll admit he was on the sit-ems, right? He was on the sit-ems, I think a week ago, was Trevor Lawrence. I have Trevor Lawrence now as a stardom. That performance against the Bengals, I think, is going to reignite that team. I really do, right? That performance, you got to see everything that he was bringing to the table. That performance was everything that we hoped to see him bring to the table, right? So I think Trevor Lawrence is a solid start against Tennessee, who is struggling, who's on the struggle bus, major struggle bus right now for the Tennessee Titans. So Trevor Lawrence, your number 3. Your number 2, and I'm going to preach him until that roster percentage just climbs and soars, is Taylor Heincke. Folks, let me talk to you real fast, okay? Let me just level with you. If you need a quarterback, pick up this man. He has scored every game he has been in, besides the first game where he came in halfway through, he scored 20 or more points against good teams. Not against super crappy teams. He has played some super crappy teams, but against good teams he's scoring these points. Okay? Taylor Heincke, if you need a quarterback, and I know some of you do. I know some of you out there need quarterbacks. Taylor Heincke is your guy. He looks like he is going to be just outbursts of points the rest of this season. So, Taylor Heincke, your number 2. Your number 1. And the man who finished with the most fantasy points last week for their quarterback, Sam Darnold. I think Sam has another big game against Philly. And Philly is not Dallas. That Philly defense is not as good as the Dallas defense looks. So I think Sam Darnold, he may repeat again as your number one fantasy quarterback. But Sam Darnold this week against Philly, solid start against Philly. Sam Darnold, solid start. Philly. Telling you. Next up, we got the running backs. Your number 4 running back is Damian Williams from the Chicago Bears. Now, David Montgomery looks to be out, right? He looks to have an ankle, knee injury type thing, so he looks to be out. If that's the case, and with the Chargers running all over the Raiders, I think Damian Williams against the Raiders is a solid start. I think that is a solid start. So, if you need a running back, Damian Williams will be available. Next up, we have the man who is lighting it up right now. Lighting it up. Number 3 is Cordarrelle Patterson. If Cordarrelle Patterson is on your bench, shame on you. And I know. Who would have thought? Cordarrelle Patterson. Cordarrelle Patterson? Who would have thought? I know. But right now, for whatever reason, Matt Ryan seems to trust him and him alone to do stuff. So, Cordarrelle Patterson is a high benefactor right now of Matt Ryan just giving him the ball. So Cordarrelle Patterson, if you have him, start him. Next up is a man I'll admit again, I did have on the Sims, but they finally have turned it around. The team I'm wearing has finally turned it around. They finally have a running game. James Conner, if you have him, it is time to start him. They finally are able to get into the red zone, hand him the ball. He's able to produce and get into the end zone. We saw 2 touchdowns last week. I think he continues to roll against a struggling 49ers, right? The 49ers have a playoff roster, but they're playing bad football right now. They're playing bad football. So James Conner against the Niners, I think is a big game for him fantasy-wise. And your number 1 was the guy I was so disappointed was doing nothing. But it comes down to Darrell Bevell not believing in running the ball in the NFL. What is the matter with you? What is the matter with you? You had Russ and you had Marshawn in Seattle. Run the frickin' ball. Jesus. James Robinson. Yes, he is finally in the start category, going back-to-back 20-point weeks, having solid weeks on the ground. Jacksonville finally running the ball. This is why I think Trevor's finally starting to see success. And against Tennessee, I think this is a pretty solid start here. So, James Robinson against Tennessee is your running back number 1. Your wide receivers. Your wide receiver number 4 I have for you is Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd has been outstanding so far. Fantasy-wise and just in real life, in real season-wise. So Tyler Boyd, if you have him, it's time to start him, right? Maybe flex, maybe wide receiver, but Tyler Boyd definitely needs to be in your starting lineup. My number 3, and this one I need you guys to hear me out on, is Antonio Brown. Now, Gronk is injured, right? Gronk was Brady's favorite target. With Gronk being injured, he's going to need a new target. I think with another week of practice, I think Antonio Brown has a monster game against Miami, right? He's got Godwin, he's got Edwards, but Antonio Brown and Tom Brady's chemistry and connection is a lot different than the others. So, Antonio Brown is your solid start, number 3 for wide receiver. Your solid start, number 2, and it is the man that of course I started him the last 2 weeks, does nothing, and then I bench him last week, goes off. Is Corey Davis of the Jets. I think that win against the Titans is bigger than any of us really understand. I think that is really gonna get the motor going, get the wheels turning, get the gut and the heart churning for that team because they pulled out a solid victory against the Titans, a hard-fought victory against the Titans. Zach Wilson looked really good. We saw some highlights from him earlier. Corey Davis, I think, is a solid start for your wide receiver. So Corey Davis, wide receiver number 2. I think he's gonna have a great game against Atlanta. Your wide receiver number 1. And I'm having him in here because I think somebody's going to bounce back, is Adam Thielen. I think Kirk has a bounce back game. They're taking on Detroit. perfect setup, right? He had a rough week last week, but then come back and just do what you've been doing, which is dominating. And I think Adam Thielen, for those kind of hesitant, like, oh, is Kirk back to Kirk ways, right, of sucking? And is that good success done? No. It's not done. I'm telling you right now, it is not done. So start Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen is your number one wide receiver just because I think Kirk is going to get back to his normal self. Moving on to your tight ends. And I have 4 tight ends for you, of course, but number 4 is Hunter Henry. And we started to see the tight ends rolling in New England. We started to see it. Jonnu Smith got a touchdown. Hunter Henry played really well. So I think Hunter Henry is the start here, though, and simply just because it looks like Mac Jones favors Hunter over Jonnu. Next up, we have your number 3 tight end, which is Dalton Schultz. Who? Dalton Schultz. Yes, Dalton Schultz of the Cowboys. I think Dalton Schultz has another great game. He's been having great games the last 3 or 4 games. But Dalton Schultz, for those of you who need tight ends, and I know some of you need tight ends out there, he is a one to go out in there and snag and start because he's been getting touchdowns lately, and Dak seems to be trusting him more and more every single game. So if you need a tight end, Dalton Schultz. Your next tight end is Dawson Knox. Who? I know, I'm saying a lot of these people's names that you guys have never even heard of. You have no idea who this person is. But Dawson Knox is rolling right now in Buffalo. Rolling. I don't know what's happening with Stephon Diggs, but Dawson Knox seems, and Emmanuel Sanders seem to be the go-to targets right now for Josh Allen in the red zone. So Dawson Knox, if you need a tight end, back-to-back solid weeks. Taking on Kansas City, going to be a tough game, but that Kansas City defense, major suspect. And a Buffalo team that's rolling, that is absolutely rolling. I think Dawson Knox is a good start this week. And my number 1 is Noah Fant of the Denver Broncos, taking on a team that has absolutely given up in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Drew Lock, with a full week under his belt of first-team reps with Noah Fant, who was his favorite target a season ago, I think that chemistry is rekindled, and I think we see it on display on Sunday. And I think Drew Lock and Noah Fant, they go to work. They go to work. So Noah Fant is my number 1 tight end to start. And that's all I have for you on the stardoms. Alrighty, moving on to the sit-ems, right? And these sit-ems are just mainly for this week, right? I'm playing some of the matchups, and then some of these guys just haven't been producing, and if you are starting them, just sit them on the bench. Find somebody else. But let's get into this. Starting with your quarterbacks. Your number 4 quarterback is Ryan Tannehill. The Titans have been playing terrible. And I know Julio and AJ are out, right? His main receivers are out. It's going to be hard, but come on, dude. You're an NFL quarterback. You got to make something happen. Derek can't do everything, right? He can't do everything like they want him to. He can't do everything. So Ryan Tannehill right now is struggling. And I think against the Jacksonville defense that looked pretty good on Thursday, in the first half at least, I think the Jacksonville defense and offense, I think the rookies might steal 2 away from Tennessee this year. The rookies might do it. So I think Jacksonville may come to play against Ryan Tannehill. Your number 3 is the man we saw on Monday, is Derek Carr. Yes, he did have a bad fantasy week, but yes, he did score enough points to secure the victory for myself in my fantasy league. So I will take it. But Derek Carr against the Chicago defense that, aside from letting Detroit back into the game, looked very strong against that team. Looked very strong. So I think it'll be a back and forth game. High fantasy scoring wise, I don't think so. I don't think so for Derek Carr. So Derek Carr, your number 3, sit him for quarterbacks. Your number 2. And this one is just because I want people to slow their roll, because if Jimmy is out, and you know who I'm talking about as soon as I say that name, if Jimmy's out, a lot of you are going to rush and just put him in and risk it for the biscuit. Do not do it. And yes, I'm talking about Trey Lance taking on Arizona. Do not do it. Arizona looks every bit the best team in that division. So I would not test it. I just play who you're going to play. Find somebody else. throwing. I'm telling you. I'm just forewarning. If you start him and he goes out to Arizona and Arizona absolutely eats him up, I can't say I told you so, but just be cautious. Just be cautious. So Trey Lance, your number 2. Your number 1 was the other guy we saw on Monday, is Justin Herbert. And you're like, what? Justin Herbert? Sit him on the bench. He's playing the Cleveland Browns, right? Oh, he's playing the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns have been quarterback eaters the last 2 weeks. If you don't believe me, look at the stats of Justin Fields and Kirk Cousins, right? They're not good. So it doesn't matter what success Justin Herbert may be having. That Cleveland defense is for real, and they come to play. And there's no reason to expect that they're not going to come to play against Herbert and the Chargers. So I think Justin Herbert, just for this week, is a sit-em, just because the Cleveland defense is been quarterback eaten lately. Quarterback eaten. Moving on to the running backs. We have your number 4 running back. And okay, I'll give it to him. He had a good week last week. But this week, against this defense that he's going up against, I don't know. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or Helaire, as they may say, against Buffalo, right? I believe it's on Sunday night. The Sunday night game is Buffalo KC. But I'm very cautious about this start. Buffalo looks dominant right now. They look dominant, right? They aren't letting people into. They aren't even letting people close to the end zone. They have demolished their opponents since that fluke against Pittsburgh, and we can confidently say that was a fluke against Pittsburgh. They have steamrolled every team that they have played. Now, do I think they're going to steamroll KC? No, absolutely not. But do I think that defense is for real and going to probably stop that running game? Yes, 100%. I think they're going to make Pat beat him with his arm, just because I think that defense, I'm excited for this game. That defense is going to come ready to play. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire, your number 4, sit-em running back. Your number 3 is Myles Gaskins. And I had this guy as the sleeper this year, but he is doing nothing. Nothing. This guy has all the talent in the world to be great, and he just does nothing with it. So upsetting. Myles Gaskin, I plop him on the bench, doing nothing right now for the Miami Dolphins. Your number 3 or 2 running back is Miles Sanders. Miles, I can see for Miles and Miles. Yes, I can see Miles Sanders not doing anything against Carolina. Miles Sanders needs to plop it on the bench, and he hasn't been doing nada this whole season. So if you got him, you might want to think about other options for sure. And your number 1 was the man who has the world in his hands, because there is nobody there, and he just can't do anything with it. And it's simply because I think he's too old, which is Mike Davis. Mike Davis is doing nothing for the Atlanta Falcons. So, Mike Davis, sit him on the bench. Moving on to your wide receivers. Your wide receiver number 4 is Allen Robinson. You would think that this man is getting everything. All the catches, all the receptions, all the touchdowns. Nope, nothing. The guy is doing nothing. And against the Raiders, now if the Raiders corners, now this is where you got to do some GMing, some fantasy GMing here. If the Raiders corners are out, Allen Robinson's stock may go up, right? Justin Fields may look to take advantage of that, or Andy Dalton, whoever is the quarterback there next week. But if the corners of the Raiders are out with serious injuries, right? Trayvon Mullins, Damian Arnett, if they are out, then you need to look at starting Allen Robinson. He might slide in there, but for right now, we're going to put him on the sit-ems just for what he's done in the past, which is nothing. He's done nothing this season to warrant a start. Your number 3 is Juju Smith-Schuster. Yes, the Pittsburgh receivers that are farts in the wind, like I say. Who knows? Deontay Johnson looks like the only one who can do something, but from what I've seen, they have given up. Besides Najee Harris, that whole team has given up. So, Juju Smith on the bench. Your number 2 was the guy I was so high on. And it turns out I should have took the other guy, is Brandon Ayuk. I don't know what this man did. I have no clue what this man did to get into the doghouse that this guy is in. But holy moly, does he look, he's been non-existent. He's been like a ghost. He's done absolutely nothing. Besides, 2 weeks ago now on Sunday night against the Packers, he has done nothing. So he is a sit down. We're going to move him to a possible drop. So Brandon Ayuk, get going, buddy. People need you. Get going. And your number one is, and this is because the Cleveland defense is Keenan Allen. Right? Keenan Allen is your number one sit-em receiver. He had a rough week this week. I think he's going to have a rough week next week. So Keenan Allen is your number one receiver. You're moving on to your tight ends. Your number 4 tight end is Cameron Brate. I know it's all set up for him to have success there in Tampa Bay. But for whatever reason, Brady doesn't throw him the ball, or is this not open to get the ball? So Cameron Brate, sit him on the bench. I know tight ends are hard to come by. Your number 3 is another one from Pittsburgh, Pat Freiermuth. Put him on the bench because Big Ben is doing nothing over there. Nothing. And against that Denver D that's going to bounce back, it's not going to be pretty. Your number 2 tight end is Robert Tonyan. Besides one good game, the man has done nothing at tight end. Not warranted. A start, I believe. Plop him on the bench. And your last guy was the guy that went off 2 weeks ago, and everyone was like, who the hell is this guy? Is Tyler Conklin. Yes, Tyler Conklin has fallen back down to earth, come into his own as the tight end that we all know him to be, which is, who the hell is that guy? And he needs to go on the bench. Now, he may be taken on Detroit, but I think Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, I think all those other guys are benefactors of that. And I think Tyler Conklin has another slow week for the tight ends. And that is all I have for you for the sit-ems. And lastly, we have the get rid of ems. These guys just drop them. You don't need them. They're not going to do anything for you. If they score, if they have one game where they go off, oh man, bummer. Shucks. No, it doesn't matter. Get rid of them. Get them off your team. Here we go. Number 4 is Carson Wentz, who is letting everybody down. Get him off the team. He's doing nothing fantasy-wise this year. Your number 3, get rid of him, is Jared Goff, right? If you got him, get rid of him. He is not doing anything in fantasy-wise. Your number 2, and it's the guy I keep talking about, is Ben Roethlisberger, who looks like he has given up, who's on track for an ugly divorce there in Pittsburgh. But Ben Roethlisberger, drop him. Your number 1 was the man that fooled us all, Jameis Winston. Get rid of him. Famous Jameis, if you got him as your quarterback, you need to look at other quarterbacks. Hey, guess what? Taylor Heincke is still available. I guarantee you in your league. Pick him up, drop Jameis, have some success, because I'll tell you what, it feels good when your quarterback does good. Jameis Winston, your number 1. Moving on to your running backs. Your number 4 is Ronald Jones. They give this man chance after chance after chance after chance, and he just can't come through. So Leonard Fournette, Giovanni Bernard, when he comes back, seem to be the 2 guys there. Ronald Jones, get him off your team, taking up a roster spot. Your number 3, 2, and 1 are all from the same team, but they are Phillip Lindsay, David Johnson, and Mark Ingram. Yes, all from the Houston Dumpster Fire Texans. All 3 guys have done jack, nada, zilch, nothing this season. So if you have the Texans running backs for whatever reason, get them off your team and find somebody who actually produces points. And lastly, I have one tight end for you, and that is Cole Kmet. The reason why is because he is rostered in a decent amount of leagues, but if you have him, drop him. He is doing absolutely nothing for you. Nothing. Not even a sit-em. Drop him. Get him off your team. Find somebody else who is better and gets points. And that is all I have for you guys on start 'em, sit 'em, and get rid of them. Alrighty, and the last segment, you guys know what it is. It's one of my favorites we have for you. And I'm here to break it down because they're piling up and we got some new ones added. It is the injury report. Alrighty, let's break this thing down. Let me give you guys the information so that way you guys know how to adjust your lineups for this upcoming week and what to expect. Let's get into this. So, first up, we have Teddy Bridgewater, who sustained a concussion on Sunday and who's considered day-to-day. Obviously, he'll be evaluated later on this week, and if he can't go, Drew Lock is in. If Drew Lock gets the first team reps, I think Drew Lock has a good performance like we saw in the preseason. But as for now, Teddy's considered day-to-day with a concussion. Will be reevaluated later this week. If he's good to go, we will see him on Sunday. Next up, we have DJ Chark. And unfortunately, I know I've talked crap about him early on in the season and my sleepers, but he fractured his left ankle and he's out for the season. So very unfortunate for DJ Chark and one of Trevor Lawrence's favorite weapons so far. Fractured left ankle, done for the season. Wish him a speedy recovery, wish him a good recovery, and hope to see him out there next season, ready to go. Your next guy up is Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, Kyle Shanahan has said he's not ready to rule Jimmy out for Sunday yet. So, Trey is not guaranteed to start. Jimmy may be out there with the calf injury. It doesn't look like it's that serious. It looks like he may be able to rehab it and become better by Sunday. But right now, he's considered day-to-day with that calf injury. Next up, we have Rob Gronkowski, who was super unfortunate not to see him out there in New England. I think the game would have been very different if he was out there. But Rob Gronkowski, multiple broken ribs, considered week to week. He took a shot against LA and the Rams. But he is considered week to week, broken ribs. Hopefully he can get better from that because that is not a fun injury. Next up, we have Logan Thomas, who left the game on Sunday. Let a lot of people down, unfortunately. He sustained a hamstring injury, considered day-to-day, so it doesn't look like it's too serious. However, it obviously was serious enough to pull him out of the game on Sunday. So, watch out for Logan Thomas. If you have him, this could be a lingering issue. So if you have Logan Thomas, you may need to look at getting a backup tight end, or you may need to start your backup tight end. Next up, we have another man with a hamstring injury, Julio Jones, which kept him out on Sunday, which was a big factor, I think, in the Titans losing. As much as people don't want to admit, it was a big factor. Julio Jones considered week to week with a hamstring injury. Julio Jones is considered week to week right now with a hamstring injury. So we will see. He will be obviously reevaluated later this week, and we'll see if he's ready to go against Jacksonville on Sunday. Next up, we have James White. He was on the injury report last week because he was out indefinitely with a hip injury. Now he is out for the season. Yes, hip injury was a major hip injury, it looks like, and that will knock him out for the season. So James White, if you have him, gone for the season. Don't even put him on IR. Just drop him. Find somebody else. Next up, we have Jarvis Landry, and he was on the injury report last week, but they put him on the IR on Tuesday of last week. So he is on IR. He is going to be gone for the next few weeks. If you have Jarvis Landry, downgrade him to IR. If you don't have an IR spot, ask your commissioner, what the hell are you doing? You need IR spots. But if you have Jarvis Landry, move into an IR spot and find another receiver. Next up, we have David Montgomery, who sustained that knee injury, like ankle knee injury on Sunday, and is now considered week to week. So we shall see if he is out there for the Raiders. I highly doubt it. Honestly, I don't think so. So again, Damian Williams, if he was out there, if he's out there in your league, pick him up. I think he has a good game rushing against the Raiders. Last but not least, my boy, Joe Mixon, sustained an ankle injury on Thursday. It didn't look good. It knocked him out the final, couple plays of the game to seal it. However, it didn't really affect it. They were able to get down there, get the field goal to win. But it didn't look good when it happened, right? He was over there limping on the sidelines, sustained an ankle injury, considered week to week. We shall see if he's ready to go on Sunday. Bengals definitely need him. Bengals definitely need him. Samaje Perine looks okay, but Joe Mixon gives them that level, that boost, that energy that they need to really helps them propel them to victory, in all honesty. So Joe Mixon, ankle injury, consider week to week. If you have him, you got to monitor his status. Same thing with David Montgomery. And that's all I have for you on this week's injury report. Alrighty, and that is all I have for you guys in today's episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching today's episode, because I have enjoyed bringing you guys today's content. Right, wrong, whatever. I enjoy bringing you guys content week in and week out. Make sure that if you guys like what you guys are watching, please smash that like button, tap on that subscribe button, and then just tap on that bell notification. That way, anytime a new video drops, and they drop every Tuesday and Friday, you're right there, you're ready to just pick up and consume the content, because that's what I'm doing. I'm always dropping the content. It's right there for you. Just pick up, shove it in your head, shake it around, and boom. Better fantasy football player, more knowledgeable football human being, and that is what we aim to do, right? What could be better? You know fantasy and you know football. Life is complete. Maybe not complete, but it's always good to gain knowledge in something, right? If you're not growing, you're dying. So if you like what you see, please smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, smash that bell notification. That way, anytime new episodes drop, you are up to date on all the latest content. You can follow me on Twitter at FantasyTime2021. You can follow me on Facebook at TheFantasyGuy2021, and then you can follow me on YouTube at FantasyTime2021. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying the videos. I hope you guys are enjoying the content. I hope you guys have seen that I'm bringing it week in and week out. Right or wrong, I'm here for you guys, and that's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy bringing you guys the content. So again, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you. And again, this has been Fantasy Time. I am your host, Jacob Cutler, the Fantasy Guy. And like I always tell you guys, until next time, I'll see ya. You're still here? What are you still doing here? It's over. The show is over. The show is over. Go check out some other videos on the channel. Go. Well, I guess while you're here, make sure you like, follow, subscribe. But go. The show's over. The show's over.